Hello there, this is Welsh ASMR 82. Hey, how you doing? So, we did the first half of the Italian tour guide about 2 weeks ago. So in today's video, as promised, as suggested, can't speak, we're going to take a look at the Poland one. This is much smaller than the Italian one, so I think we'll probably take in the highlights in one video. I hope you enjoy the video and also enjoy learning about Poland. It's a country I haven't yet visited, but I'm looking forward to visiting in the future. So exploring Poland, in case you didn't know, Germany is one of its border countries, as is Czechia, the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Ukraine, Belarus, Lithuania, and then this exclave of Russia, where Kaliningrad is here. So, main sites are Warsaw, the capital, Kraków, so Warszawa in Polish, Kraków. I've heard people pronounce it Kraków, and I think in America, Krakow. Then on the coast, Gdansk, with that ñ sound, Gdansk. Pomerania is up there. We have Silesia down here, and Wielkopolska in the middle, where Łódź is. Let's take a little look then at Poland in today's video. So in terms of the contents, we've got Experience Poland, Mazovia and the Lublin region, Kraków, Małopolska, Wielkopolska, Silesia, Gdansk, Pomerania, Warmia, Mazovia and Podlasia. Oh, how pretty. One of Europe's biggest countries. I keep saying this on this channel. I can't understate. No, that's not the right expression. I can't overstate, really, how large Poland is compared to some neighbouring countries. Poland is as famed for the cobbled streets and bohemian bars of enchanting Kraków as it is for the high-tech museums and trendy cafes of edgy Warsaw. Reasons to love Poland. So we have going underground, delve under and discover Wieliczka's astonishing salt mines or the subterranean Nazi tunnels near Wałbrzych. Nocturnal neon. Under the communists, Poland went wild for neon, with signs adorning everything from hotels to theatres. Adventures in Białowieża forest. This dense forest is one of the last remaining primeval woodlands in Europe. They actually do have hairy bison living there, apparently. Baltic beaches, so beaches towards the north. Where's that map? Oh, there it is. Up on this northern coastline. sprinkled with golden, endlessly sandy beaches, charming seaside towns, pretty fishing villages and towering sand dunes. Fairy tale Kraków, and something I would love to have, perfect pierogi. Pierogi are these little dumplings. These heaven-sent parcels of stuffed dough are incredibly Moorish, filled with everything from cottage cheese to fresh blueberries. This Polish staple is on every restaurant's menu. And it goes on and on and on, but it says the mazurka. Poland has many folk dances, but the mazurka, a fast-paced dance characterized by heel clicking and feet stamping, is undoubtedly the best known and most spectacular to watch. So in case you're not sure, Poland is in Central Europe, located next to Germany, to the east of France and the United Kingdom, to the north of some places like Hungary, Austria, Croatia, Romania, but to the south of Sweden, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia. So, Małopolska, look at that beautiful image. It could be like the Rocky Mountains in the States or something, couldn't it? Running along Poland's southeastern border, that would be with Ukraine. Małopolska is packed with variety. It includes the country's biggest mountains, the snow-capped Tatras, as well as the bewitching green ridges of the Bieszczady Hills. Nesting in the area's rolling green foothills are a rich variety of historical market towns and quiet villages. Wielkopolska, stately Poznań. It was here in the Middle Ages that Poland was first founded. And then we have Silesia. Again, absolutely stunning picture there. The Silesian capital, Wrocław, is one of Poland's major city break destinations. It's on my to-do list. And its elegant market square, extensive old town, and nightlife scene can easily rival any in the country. The rest of the province embraces huge contrasts, from the forest-shrouded mountain resorts of the south to post-industrial conurbations like Katowice in the east. There's also history aplenty with the Baroque interiors of Książ Castle and Stara Kopalnia, show mine in Wałbrzych, and the Nazi-built tunnels of the Riese underground complex, all shedding light on a fascinating yet turbulent past. Okay, let's skip forward then. We'll start off with the capital, Warsaw. Which is located there within the context of Poland. We have the river running through it, the Vistula. And we have the old and new towns just here. The city centre here in the Royal Route. Oh, look at that, this picture, how beautiful, the cobble streets and everything. The old town, Stare Miasto, partially surrounded by medieval walls, is the oldest district in Warsaw. It was founded at the turn of the 13th and 14th centuries, and its medieval urban layout survives to this day. The market square, with with its colourful townhouses and Cathedral of St. John, is the pride of the area. The new town, Nowe Miasto, which is next to the old town, became a separate urban entity in 1408. Both the old town and the new town were almost completely destroyed during the war, and the reconstruction of these districts, including the royal castle, was an undertaking on a scale unprecedented in the whole of Europe. Today, after being rebuilt, these two areas are the most popular visitor attractions in Warsaw, particularly the old town, which pulsates with life until late evening. So in the Stare Miasto, the old town, we have the royal castle, the Jesuit church, and in the Nowe Miasto, the new town, again lots of churches. I think there's some weird stat that there are like more churches per square mile per populace or something in Poland than anywhere else. It's the royal castle, which was originally built in the early Baroque style by the Italian architects Giovanni Trevano, Giacomo Rotondo, and Matteo Castelli between 1598 and 1619, and incorporated the earlier castle of the Mazovian princes. The late Baroque facade, overlooking the river Vistula, dates from the time of August III, and the splendid interiors from that of Stanisław August. Completely destroyed by the Germans in World War II, the castle was reconstructed from 71 to 88. Look at that beautiful picture of inside. That's the marble room. And the royal castle today is a symbol of Polish independence. And then, other than the old new towns and the city centre, we have the Royal Route, where we can see the National Museum. We have the Polish Military Museum and the National Museum here, and the Stock Exchange is here, as well as the Copernicus Science Centre on the banks of the river, and the Warsaw University Library. We could look at Warsaw forever. We could look at Warsaw forever, but let's carry on. So Mazovia and the Lublin region, which was both culturally and economically one of the least developed areas of the ethnically Polish lands of the Commonwealth of Two Nations. The Principality of Mazovia came into existence in 1138 during the division of Poland, and it preserved its independence for nearly 400 years. It was then incorporated into the Kingdom of Poland in 1526. Today in the east of Mazovia and the Lublin region, farmsteads with their humble cottages, built to mimic the style of mansions, can be seen. Where would we have heard of them? So, Płok. Thinking football clubs, we've got Wisła Płok. And where else? Treblinka, Ciechanów, Półtusk. Warsaw's there as well. Arcadia. So So Lublin itself, the largest city in southeastern Poland, is buzzing with culture and peppered with historic buildings. It is also an important centre of academic life. Before World War II, the only Jewish college of higher education in Poland was located here. In 1944, Poland's first communist government arrived here on the tanks of the Red Army. Today, Lublin remains a young and academic community. It was selected as the 2023 European Youth Capital. And we have the Rynek, the Old Town and Market Square. The most attractive district of Lublin is the Old Town, Stare Miasto, situated on the edge of the escarpment. It has become a symbol of the city. It is now home to an exhibition on local history. And then on to the very beautiful Kraków. The earliest mention of Kraków in historical records dates from the middle of the 10th century. In 10,000 it became a bishopric, and around 1038 it assumed the importance of a capital. The city developed rapidly in the 14th and 15th centuries and acquired numerous Gothic churches and secular buildings that survive to this day. At the beginning of the 16th century, Kraków came under the influence of the Renaissance, and the Wawel Royal Castle, the Cloth Hall in the main market square, and many mansions in the city were rebuilt in this style. So it's a beautiful map. We have Kraków here. So if you imagine down the bottom here is Ukraine. And this is Slovakia. So Kraków is down there in that section. And I was just looking, it's got the Schindler's factory and Malbork. There's the square in this old town, Stare Miasto, the Rynek. The Wawel, the turrets and cupolas of the Royal Cathedral. The Wawel, seat of the government since the 11th century. The legend of the Kraków dragon. According to legend, ancient Kraków was threatened by a cattle-eating dragon that lived in a cave behind Wawel Hill. It is said that the dragon was slain by King Krakus, who tricked the beast into eating a sulphur-filled sheepskin. Today, visitors can follow a trail of themed dragon statues around the city. I don't want to dwell on it, but it's important to point out that Schindler's factory and Malbork is here. So located in the former industrial district of Zawocze, next to Podgorze, Schindler's factory is a symbol of humanitarian courage. In 1943, the factory's German owner, Oskar Schindler, saved over 1,000 Jews from deportation to the death camps by employing them in his factory and claiming that they were essential to the running of his business. And St. Mary's Basilica. Wow, look at that picture, the decorative blue and gold interior of St. Mary's Basilica. Did you know that the altarpiece of Veldstos is the world's largest Gothic altarpiece? Okay. obviously, it makes me even uncomfortable to talk about it, but most people fly into Kraków to then go to Auschwitz. This is supposed to be an ASMR video, so it's too important to not talk about, but equally very stress-inducing, so I'm not going to read too much from that page. It's something that I desperately do feel important that I do at some point. A very, very good friend of mine has done it. She's a history teacher, and she says it's strange because it's somewhere you would go on holiday to, but then end up going to see out of respect. And you can't, enjoy it. Equally, it's extremely humbling to go there, but yet upsetting. So Wielkopolska, Greater Poland, is the cradle of Polish statehood. It was here in mid-10th century that the Polonians, the strongest of the Polish tribes, set up an enduring state. It was also here that the Piast dynasty, the first Polish dynasty, emerged to rule the country in the 10th century. At the time of the 30 Years' War of 1618 to 48, the region was settled by large numbers of dissenting Germans, particularly from neighbouring Silesia. Their Protestant faith set them apart from the existing inhabitants who were Catholics. Places we would know and have heard of: Łódź, or Lodz, I think I've heard it pronounced Łódź. Poznań. Then we have Poznań. Look at those lovely houses. Poznań, the capital of Wielkopolska and its largest city, has long been historically significant. In the 10th century it was the capital of the emerging Polish state and the seat of the first bishopric in Poland. Today a thriving commercial centre with major trade fairs, Poznań still has many historic buildings, particularly in the old town, with its spectacular town hall. A visit to the late 19th century quarter is also rewarding. Now the Przemysław Castle, little remains of the original castle built by Przemysław II, or Przemysław II in the 1200s. The reconstructed castle that now stands on the site houses the Museum of Applied Art, and its collection spans from the Middle Ages to the present, containing items from religious artifacts to television sets by Polish designers. A lift takes visitors to the tower, which provides a sweeping panorama of the city centre. And here's a quick map of it: the town hall in the old town, the older market square, the Rogalowy Museum, Church of the Heart of Jesus is there. Przemysław Castle is just over here, next to the National Museum, and the Raciński Library. Okay, and then we'll go to Silesia, the stormy history of Silesia, or Śląsk, and the great variety of cultural influences that have flourished here have given this region a rich heritage. Initially held by the Bohemian crown, it passed into Polish control around 990, when Poland was split into principalities. Silesia began to gain independence, yet it returned to Bohemian rule in the 14th century. During the Reformation, many of its inhabitants were converted to Lutheranism. The 30 Years' War inflicted devastation on Silesia, bringing in its wake the repression of Protestantism. Seized by Prussia in 1742, It wasn't until after 1945 that nearly all of historical Silesia joined Poland, and its German population was deported. Poles, who had been resettled from the country's eastern provinces, which had been annexed by the Soviet Union, took their place. Silesia remains today an utterly enchanting region, not only for the breathtaking beauty of its soaring mountain landscapes, but also for its outstanding architecture, including medieval castles and grand Renaissance manor houses. So here we can see in Silesia we've got Wrocław here. Góra Świętane, Opole, and Katowice and Chorzów. Silesia, for context, is this one just on the border with Czechia. Wrocław, look at that beautiful picture there. And then we've got the map here. It's quite a lot of water, the Odra River. And we can see the market square, the Pan Tadeusz Museum, Town Hall, Church of St. Elizabeth, Chameleon Store, Museum of Architecture, panorama of Wrocławice, I think. Wrocławice. So Wrocław, the cheery and colourful rooftop of Wrocław reconstructed old town. This cosmopolitan city bears the stamp of several cultures, founded by a Czech duke in the 10th century. A Polish bishopric was established here in the 19th century. It then became the capital of the Duchy of the Silesian Piasts, before coming under Czech rule in 1335. Wrocław's dwarves, I think we looked at this in the last video. Scattered throughout the city, dwarf statuettes represent one of Wrocław's more unusual civic symbols. The city's adoption of the dwarf is largely in tribute to the 1980s anti-communist group Orange Alternative, Pomarańczowa Alternatywa, who used a stenciled graffiti image of a dwarf as their symbol. As these statuettes grow in number, their original subversive focus has been replaced by a simple desire to bring cheer to the streets. Images of these folk legends are also now found on souvenirs. That's the Chameleon store. This store, Dom Handlowy Chameleon, is an unusual building on the corner of Ulica Szewska and Ulica Oławska. Its semicircular bay, formed of rows of windows, juts out dramatically. It was built as a retail store for Rudolf Petersdorf in 1927 to 1928. This is the market square we can see here. And this picture is the visitors admiring the monumental panorama of Wrocławice. And then we go to the north, to Gdansk. Let me just check. I just died straight into the north, doesn't it? For more than 300 years, Gdansk was the capital of the Slav Duchy in Pomerania, until it was taken over and enlarged by the Teutonic Knights in 1308. In 1361, Gdansk became a member of the powerful Hanseatic League, a trade association of Baltic towns. Further bolstering its economic development, From 1466 until the Second Partition in 1793, the city belonged to Poland and was the country's largest Baltic port and an important centre of trade with the rest of Europe. A very wealthy city, Gdansk played a pivotal role in the Commonwealth of two nations. It also became a major centre of the arts. Goldsmiths fashioned fine jewellery for the royal courts of Europe, and both the city's gemstone and amber workshops won great renown. So we can see a map of Gdansk here. Here is one, and we can see the Bay of Gdansk. And so just to show you within the context of the country, it's right on the northern shore. We have the National Maritime Museum here along the, what's that, Stara Motława and the Nova Motława, the old Motława and the new Motława rivers. And the Motława is just there. Museum of the Second World War can be found there, Museum of Amber, and the old town hall. How pretty. Did you know in the 1980s members of the band Solidarity movement sought sanctuary in St. Mary's? This is the buildings of the old town clustering around St. Mary's Church. The National Maritime Museum. So there here is the iconic Gdansk crane dominating the cityscape at the edge of the river. So in the 17th century, Poland strove to be master of the Baltic Sea, and the country's seafarers were dedicated to maintaining Poland's maritime presence. The fascinating history of these seafaring nations is explored at the National Maritime Museum, housed in several buildings lining the river Motława. These are granaries on the Ołowianka Island, once stored goods including grain, salt, iron, anchors and millstones. And this is the Museum of the Second World War in Gdansk. The old town hall, built by Antonis van Opbergen in 1587-95, the old town hall is an outstanding example of Dutch Mannerist architecture. It is a compact, plain building with a defence tower. Beneath each bracket are two distorted masks personifying vice and two smiling chubby masks personifying virtue. Pomerania then, to finish off. A land of beautiful beaches, peaceful lakes and alpine scenery, is divided into the two regions of western and eastern Pomerania, each with a culturally diverse population. This is the northernmost area, where we can also see Szczecin, which is on the border with Germany. This is on the border with Russia. Szczecin. On the river Odra is a major port, despite the fact that it is more than 65 kilometers or 40 miles from the sea. It serves both ocean-going vessels and river traffic. And the river links it with Berlin. A castle with a fishing village existed here in the 19th century. It became the capital of the Pomeranian Duchy and later a major port. Szczecin suffered during World War II, but restoration has been confined to its more important buildings. This is the dramatically modern white exterior of the Szczecin Philharmonic Hall. And then the Malbork castle of the Teutonic Knights, which was begun in the 13th century. In 1309 it was made capital of an independent state established by the Order. The first major phase of building was the Assembly Castle, a fortified monastery later known as the Upper Castle. This is the view over the river Nogat to the impressive fortifications of Malbork Castle. We nearly forgot. Warmia, Mazovia and Podlasia. Known as the land of 1,000 lakes, Poland's northeast is blessed with vast forests, undulating moraine hills and a large number of lakes and rivers. Its three regions, Warmia, Mazovia and Podlasia, have given divergent histories, or have had divergent histories. So we can see this is on the border with Russia and Lithuania. And you might recognize, where would you know? Grunwald, Dobre Miasto, Morąg, Edbong. I think this is one of the more rural districts. Not as many big cities here that I've heard of. Białystok I've heard of. The Great Mazurian Lakes. This area is known as the land of 1,000 lakes, a wilderness region with great forests, extensive woods and marshlands peppered with small towns and Gothic churches. It's a popular holiday spot in summer, but despite this, the countryside remains largely unspoiled. Cathedral, the Brama Targowa Tower in Elbląg's pretty old town. Well, that was lovely. I really enjoyed it. I hope you did. And if you want to suggest, because I've used up all of my tour guides now, I've shown you them all. So if you want me to get a couple of new ones and check out a different country, why don't you let me know where we shall look at in a couple of weeks' time. A big thank you to all of my Patreons, as well as my obvious fantastic subscribers. Thank you for clicking like on the video. Thank you for any comments you leave. And if you've made it this far, click that subscribe button not to miss another video like this. I've already done quite a few, including ones on Scandinavia, most recently Italy, Great Britain, Germany, France. So check those out as well. Which one shall I do next?